Today, we are here to demonstrate key concepts of demand. First, we're going to explain what is demand. Today, I'm here with Professor Burke from BBC. He's going to help me define demand and to create better understanding. Professor Burke?
Well, demand is the quantity buyers are willing and able to buy at a particular price, all other things unchanged. To further explain this demand concept, we can use a demand schedule, which is a table that shows the quantities of a good or service demanded at different prices. A demand schedule is a demand curve. The demand curve shows graphically the quantities of a good or service demanded at different prices, all other things unchanged. The demand curve will almost always be negatively sloped. At any point on the demand curve, the price of the good or service will determine the quantity demanded of that good or service. Next, I will talk about movement along a demand curve. A change in price causes a change in the quantity demanded, which is a movement along the demand curve. If the price increases of a product, the quantity demanded will decrease. As the price increases, the quantity demanded will decrease, and vice versa. As the price decreases, the quantity demanded will increase. Now, let's talk about demand shifters, which are variables that shift the entire demand curve so the quantity demanded of a good or service is different at a given price. There are 5 shifters: preferences, price of related goods and services, income, demographic characteristics, and buyer expectations. Now we will give a visual as well as an explanation on each of these shifters to further explain them so even your average everyday Fresno State student can understand them. Next, I will talk about the demand shifter prices of related goods and services. Take 2 goods that are complements, say hot dogs and hot dog buns. If the price of hot dogs is to increase, the quantity demanded for hot dog buns would decrease, and vice versa. If the price of hot dogs decreases, the quantity demanded for hot dog buns would increase. Now let's take 2 goods which are substitutes, hamburgers and hot dogs. If the price of hot dogs was to increase, the quantity demanded for hamburgers would increase because these 2 goods are similar and people could save money. The demand curve for hamburgers would then shift to the right. The demand shift we will go into is income. As income rises, people will increase their consumptions of many goods and services. If income rises and the demand increases for a good, then that good is considered normal. Let's take new cars, for example. When your income rises, then the demand for the new car goes up and causes the demand curve to shift to the right. Now let's go over inferior goods. If income rises and the quantity demanded of the good decreases, that good is considered inferior. Take cup of noodles, for example. When your income rises, the demand for cup of noodles goes down and the curve shifts to the left. Now let's talk about consumer preferences. Basically, consumer preferences is anything that could sway the decision to buy more of a good at any given price, whether it comes from the good's flavor or health benefits. Take corn, for example. Say a new study comes out saying that eating corn reduces the risk of heart disease. People are then going to buy more corn since it is in their best interest to have a healthy heart. The fact that corn is healthy for people will cause more corn to be bought regardless of its price. Any positive change in the understanding or characteristics of a product will lead to a positive shift to the right for the demand curve. This makes sense because no matter what the given price is, buyers will purchase more of a product because they think it is better in some way than other goods on the market. Now, let's go over buyer expectations. Unlike other demand shifters which are based upon current market conditions, the quantity demanded for buyer expectations is solely based upon predicted or future price. Take hay, for example. If dairies are looking to purchase more hay to feed their cows for milk production, and they believe that the price will increase in the future, the quantity demanded will go up. If the price of hay is expected to decrease, quantity demanded will also decrease because the dairies will wait until the price of hay drops, so they can save money. For our fifth and final demand shifter category, we will go over demographic characteristics. For example, a change in population will change the quantity demanded for a good at any given price. Let's take a look at McDougall's Ark. As it approaches the deserted island, the island's population increases and the quantity demanded increases for coconuts so the children don't starve. But as the ark leaves the island, the populations decrease, as does the quantity demanded.
Now, I would just like to thank you, Professor Burke, for explaining the key concepts of demand. Now, let's further apply demand to real-life situations. For example, Cal Poly students are very bright, intellectual young beings. Cal Poly students are taught to learn by doing, which causes them, in return, to be intrinsically motivated. Now, this intrinsic motivation that we speak of is a willingness to learn on their own, to be more self-sufficient. Now, Professor Burke, would you say the same goes for a Fresno State student?
No, I wouldn't. I would say that they are more extrinsically motivated. They're more trapped behind bars, if you will, only motivated by extrinsic rewards or money. Companies want to hire people who are self-sufficiently motivated and therefore are better in the workforce. Companies have a higher demand for Cal Poly students, and unfortunately, it's not looking good for Fresno State.